All right, and welcome back to Whiteboard Gematria. I'm your host, Dallas, and let's get to it. The counterfeit alphabet and why Satan needed a new language. So before the flood, we see man in a different position after eating from the knowledge of good and evil. For the hearts of man were continually evil. And through the knowledge, this ability, this knowledge spread, magnifying their capacity, their capability, removed all the barriers that would prevent them from exploring and expressing all this evil that was continually within them. It got to the point where all abomination filled the whole world, and God stepped in to judge the world, to cleanse it, to remove it, to restart it in the man of Noah. The entire beast system at its fruition brought to an end and restarted. But the knowledge of good and evil survived, passed through Noah's generations, coming to a huge culmination point in the man of Nimrod, where the first Freemasons is tracked all the way back to Nimrod, the creator of Babylon, the mystery religion Babylon, the same religion that still controls the world today, building the tower in protest to God to never be flooded away again, because their hearts were continually evil. Therefore God said in Genesis 11:7, 7:11, in Genesis 11:7, let us go down and there confound their language, that they may not understand one another's speech. And at that moment the power of the knowledge of good and evil was irrevocably damaged. Or was it? This put into a neat position because the word was no longer beneficial. They could not understand. The unity and strength and power of knowledge and wisdom could not be brought forth, as the people could no longer communicate with one another. So the counterfeit God needed a new language. One not based on the word, but that could be confounded. So one based on numbers, then letters, and least of all the word, would be the best new language, the new counterfeit language. One based on numbers and symbols, ones that do not change. For mathematical principles do not change. 1 + 1 will always be 2. And it does not matter what letter sits over top of it. And that's where we come to the counterfeit language, the English alphabet. 26 letters, which is 13 plus 13, which equals 26. 101 is the 26th prime. Drop the 0, we get 11. And we know 11 is a reference to L. God, 26, is the English ordinal. So in the very first 1, 2, 3 ABC cipher, we get 26, which is God's alphabet. And we know that Satan counterfeited the name God, and thus carries the title God, and we have the God alphabet. Now, according to the pyramid texts, the ancient Egyptian belief, Atum, or alternately spelled Atem, was the first god, having created himself. Adam then created god Shu, which was male, and the goddess female Tefnut. This act representing the female principle inherent in him. It's androgyny. So the oldest form of the Egyptian belief system shows that they believed that Adam, through his own act of androgyny, was the creator of the female Tefnut and the male Shu. What's very interesting about that is how the creator of the counterfeit alphabet had the number system of the Babylon mystery religion and founder of Kabbalah, and Kabbalah states Keter was the androgynous Adam, as an Atem, who through his own androgyny was able to emanate the male Chokmah and the female Bina. It seems to be the same builder. The Egyptian religion and the Hebrew religion, which comes from the Babylon religion. It's very interesting how we can literally track why this change needed to be made and how the belief systems remain the same even though the word systems changed. And we're going to take a look at the importance of the number versus the word, because when we look at the word, so here's the numbers. So we look at today and we are comparing Satan versus Adam, because I am suggesting that the creator of the Mystery Babylon religion was Satan, and the creator of the Mystery Babylon religion became the ancient pyramidic texts, which is the ancient Egyptian belief. So it would be that Satan created the Babylonic belief and Satan created the Kabbalistic belief, and we can see that Satan named that same Egyptian god after himself numerically: 55, 55, 10, 10, 53, 53, 26, and 80. 26 is God. Atem, well, we know that Saturn and Satan are synonymous with one another. Atem and Saturn. Atem is the alternate spelling that comes through the ancient pyramid texts. Atem, 39, 93, 12, 21, 69, 69, 24, 42. So the same builder likes to keep the same numbers. Tefnut, Atom and Tefnut. Autumn created Tefnut. Tefnut, 86, 23, 76, 31. Pelosi. Well, this is interesting because Atom, however you want to say it, emanated Tefnut, the female goddess, the beginner female goddess. There's no higher, the creation female symbol goddess. Pelosi is the highest female ranking member of the American Parliament or House, whatever you want to call it, the government system ever, just as Tefnut numerically as well. So the word means very little to Satan, but the numbers mean exactly the same thing. So it's very interesting. Now, when we see the number association, we also see it continue on all the way up to modern day as well. With that 80 in Satan, the Knights Templar has 80 in it. Drop that 0 and we get the 8, which is the octagon, the symbol of the Knights Templar. The 8 is the star of Inanna and Ishtar. The androgynous cults, as in the Adam and the Keter androgyny system. The number 8, Satan, number 8. The Templar 711 year system, and it's the Genesis 11:7 that has brought us to this understanding. Egypt, Hebrew, Templar, Autumn, Adam, Baphomet. It's the same thing with different letters, but the numbers are all exactly the same. So, why did he need to do it differently? Well, not only was it being confounded an issue, but we also see that if we look at the original language of Hebrew, it itself testifies way too much against Satan that he couldn't hide it. So he had to get us to stop using it. And I'll show you why. Now, we're going to take a look and explore at the creation version now of the biblical and compare the words in that and why the word needs to be removed from the people. John 1:1, in the beginning was the Word, and the Word was with God, and the Word was God. 1:3, all things were created through him. Genesis 1:1, in the beginning, same place, God, the Word was God, and the Word was with God, and in the beginning was the Word. So in the beginning, God, that's all exactly the same. Created, 1:3, all things were created through him, that's the same. The heavens and the earth, all creation. So that is in perfect alignment and perfect agreement within itself. Not too fascinating in the sense that it pretty much better, right? So let's take a look and break that down, because in the word of English, in this alphabet, in this the symbolism that we see through the numerics of the Kabbalah, we got John 1:1, which is interesting because 1:1 is 11, which we just read about, which breaks down to L reference. John 13, that 1:3, which is cube, so we got the cube God. So we can see a lot of counterfeiting taking ownership in the numbers. But when we take a look at this in the Word, we get in the beginning. In the beginning. That's the place. It's the very, very first statement in the Bible. Let's take a look at that in Hebrew, because we're going to take a look at it in the Word as opposed into the numbers. And so counterfeit language, God's language. In the beginning. We got to drop the word here, the, to do a translation, because in Hebrew there's not in the beginning. It literally says in beginning. So we're going to take a look at this. This is the word in beginning, which is the word the barashit. And we're going to break this down. You get the bet, the rosh, the aleph, the shin, the yod, and the tav. So we're reading right to left, just as God originally wrote. So I'm going to break this down and show you, because we're going to go deeper into this than just the current characters that they use in their alphabet, because just like all things, there was an evolution to this and a walking away from old traditions, which used to be the ancient Hebrew, which had a picture. Just as we understand there's a number association, there used to be a picture association as well. And through this picture association, you derived word meaning. And through this word meaning, we understand the derivatives and the context, and gives us a picture. And that's been lost. Even Greek language still had the picturesque language when they spoke, and it's based upon this. So I'm going to show you first off, just in the first two characters here, the bet and the resh, which is like a B and an R sound. We see that, the br. So when we say that, we're saying, and we're reading right to left again, the bra, the bar, the bar. And that's what we get, bar. And that equals the word son. So in Hebrew, the first two characters, BR, and this is the Hebrew language, BR is the word son. Now, associated with bar, you get the word, the letter B, which is bet. And the bet is represented by a tent. So that's the ground with the tent on top. Now, the tent represents the house, the family, the home. So the tent, home, the house. Now the word resh is a picture of a head. Now that represents a person. Obviously, it's the head. So bar, and when you put the pictures of the tent and the head together, you get the B and the R, you get the son, which is the tent, the house, and the head, which then translates and correlates that to God, the son is set up to be the head of the house. So the son, which is bar, the bar is the one who inherits. And that's what we see in Matthew 28:18, which says, God gave Jesus authority over heaven and earth, over all things. So we see that played out in literally the first two characters in the Bible. And it's very interesting to note that the very first word in the Bible is the word son. Just as God's son, Jesus. Unbelievable. The humility and character of God is to step back and put his son first, because he will be the head house. He is the head of the house. Now, Aleph is the ox, the strength. It is God's number. It represents the chieftain. It's the God's letter. It's the number one as well. And we see that that's the third. So we're starting to see these characters build up. This here is the shin. We've been familiarized with the number 7, the shin. And the shin here is denoted with a W. But the W is actually its teeth. And that's where we get the symbol. That's the teeth. It's the gnawing. In the Bible, you talk about the gnashing of teeth. That's shin, grinding you. And that's where we actually get what shin stands for, is destruction, power, devouring, strength. And that's why when combined with Aleph, you get this action. Yod, with the smallest character in all of Scripture, in all of God's writing, which is interesting, is the Yod, which is the hand. It's this work. You can see an arm coming down and this little hand coming up. So it represents a hand doing something, which is very interesting. Then third and lastly, we get the Tav, which is represented by the cross, which has now become referenced very easily as the T. So we get this picture that goes along with this message. So the beginning, so in beginning, should be easily translatable before us as, and we got to read right to left. So if we want to read left to right, we go on the cross. So let's read God, the Son of God, the ox, the Son of God, destroyed. So the Son of God destroyed by the work of the cross. So we can read it. Let's read it forward, left to right. On the cross by his hand destroyed God a Son. So if we read this properly, the Son of God was destroyed by his own work on the cross. In the beginning, God created all things, and all things were created through him. In the beginning, God created the heavens and the earth. And the very first thing he said was, Son, the Son of God will be destroyed by the willful hand, by the work of the cross in beginning. Isaiah 46, 9, 10. Remember the former things of old, for I am God, and there is none else. I am God, and there is none like me, declaring the end from the beginning. Revelation 22:13, I am Alpha and Omega, the beginning. Jesus said, I am the beginning. Jesus is the beginning. That means Jesus is the Son who was destroyed by God's will on the cross. Is that accurate? You see how much we lost when we went to the number? Genesis 1:1, in the beginning, God. And that's neat here because in the beginning was the Word, and the Word was with God, and the Word was God. That word God there in Hebrew, if we're going to be fair, people, let's be fair. If that's what in beginning means, let's be fair about God, because God here means, that's the Hebrew word Elohim. And Elohim is plural. God is El. And we've been making reference to 11 being El. And that's the title of God, and singular. Elohim is the plural, more than one God, as in the cherub is Satan, but if there were a bunch of cherub, you would call them the cherubim. In the same way, El, the plural, is Elohim. So there needs to be two or more. In the beginning was the Word, and the Word was God. So in the beginning was God, and the Word was with God. So there was God, and there was God. So there was two. There was two gods in the beginning. There was Elohim. And who is this Elohim in the beginning? Well, we just saw. It was Jesus, his Son. In the beginning. Elohim was in the beginning. It had to be two, because his Son is the beginning. And on the cross became the end. Hebrew is 22 letters in comparison to the 13. 11 plus 11. 11 is El, Evan, the two gods. So 11 is El, plus 11 is 22, which is our two letters. So the Hebrew language, which is written in the name of Son and God. The first three characters of the Bible is Son of God, or God and Son, or Son and God. Son and God, God and Son, the two the Elohim. The Word was God, and the Word was with God, the Elohim. And this testifies to the need to know the word and the number. Yahweh. Why? The Yud, the smallest character in all of Hebrew, and the most humblest of gods, chose the smallest character in the Hebrew language to represent his name. It's phenomenal. YWHW, Yahweh. Y 79, 25, 29, and 11, the proper name denoted as God in Scripture, the tetragrammaton, the four characters of the Hebrew name. 79 is the 22nd prime, 22 letters, the master build. 25 is 5 squared. 11 is the 5th prime. So that means 25 squared is 2 L's. Elohim, the 22. 29 is the 10th prime. 10 is the 4th triangular number, the 1, 2, 3, 4 characters of God, the tetragrammaton, the very thing we're reading. And 11 is L. Just so we're confirming, Yahweh is the Word. And the Word was God, and the Word was with God right from the beginning. Wherever you are, I hope this finds you well. God bless.